chosen one. Why do you still feel like you're waiting for permission to be who you already are? Why does your heart pound when you hear the word legend whispered over your life? Why have you spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years apologizing for taking up space when heaven has been holding its breath, waiting for you to finally roar? Stop right there. Before you scroll past this moment, before you dismiss what I'm about to tell you as just another feel-good message, I need you to understand something that will shatter every lie you've believed about your twilight years. Heaven does not see you as fragile, forgotten, or finished. When angels whisper your name in the throne room, they don't say survivor, they call you legend. That restlessness in your chest, that's not anxiety, that's recognition. Your spirit knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You are not winding down, you are being wound up for the most significant chapter of your entire existence. Here's the shocking truth the enemy doesn't want you to discover. Every betrayal that should have broken you, every door that slammed in your face, every night you cried yourself to sleep, wondering if God remembered your address, it wasn't random suffering, it was legendary preparation. Think about a marathon runner crossing that finish line, lungs burning, legs barely holding, but they cross. The crowd doesn't need to be told they've witnessed something extraordinary. They can feel greatness in the air. That's what your spirit has done, chosen one. You've crossed lines you didn't know you had the strength to reach, and heaven stood still to mark it. You see, molten glass looks fragile in the fire, doesn't it? Formless, almost broken. But in the hands of the master artist, every breath of flame is shaping brilliance. That's been your life. What felt like unbearable heat was forging clarity, strength, luminosity that can't be destroyed, only refined into radiance. Before we go deeper into this divine summons, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit move through your generosity. But listen closely if your spirit knows this word is for you. If something deep inside just stirred awake, type "I receive it" right now in the comments. Don't just watch. Enter the covenant. Let heaven know you're listening. Stay with me, because before this message ends, you will understand why the weight you've carried was never punishment. It was preparation for your legendary moment. The world is about to see what heaven has always known about you. Your legendary moment isn't coming, beloved. It's here. Why do you measure your worth by applause that never came? Why do you think God grades you on the same scale as a world that worships youth and ignores wisdom? Why have you spent decades believing that quiet faithfulness counts for less than loud success? Dear chosen one, you've been looking at your life through cracked mirrors, haven't you? Measuring your significance by earthly metrics that were never meant to define eternal value. The world told you that if nobody's cheering, you're not winning. That if your name isn't trending, your story doesn't matter. That if you're not making headlines, you're making no difference at all. But that's the greatest deception ever whispered into human ears. Heaven keeps different books. Heaven measures different currencies. And right now, as I speak these words, there's a recording playing in the throne room that would leave you speechless. It's the sound of every prayer you whispered when you thought nobody was listening. Every tear you shed in secret, every time you chose forgiveness when revenge felt justified, every morning you got up when staying down felt easier. Psalm 56:8 reveals something that will shatter your perspective forever. You keep track of all my sorrows, you have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book, every single one. While the world was busy ignoring your pain, heaven was busy collecting it like precious diamonds. You think your story is forgettable. God has been taking detailed notes. You think your struggles went unnoticed. Heaven has been compiling evidence of your legendary endurance. Every step you took when your legs wanted to give out. Every word of kindness you spoke when bitterness tried to take over your tongue. Every act of faith when doubt screamed louder than hope. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. Those moments when you felt most alone, most forgotten, most invisible to the world. Those were the moments heaven leaned in closest. Because heaven doesn't measure legends by their audience size. Heaven measures legends by their authentic size. And you, dear one, you have been expanding in ways that earthly eyes cannot see. Think about this. When Jesus fed 5,000 people, the world called it a miracle. But when he wept alone in the garden, heaven called it legendary. When David defeated Goliath, the crowds cheered. But when he spent night after night in caves, hiding from Saul while still praising God, that's when angels took notice. Hebrews 12:1 speaks of a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us. Do you know who's in those stands, chosen one? Every saint who walked through valleys you've walked. Every believer who chose faith over fear in the darkness. They're not just watching, they're cheering for your endurance, your consistency, your refusal to quit when quitting made perfect sense. You've been living like your best chapters are behind you, but heaven sees your story differently. While you've been counting your wrinkles, heaven has been counting your victories. While you've been measuring your declining strength, heaven has been measuring your increasing wisdom. While you've been worried about running out of time, heaven has been preparing you for your finest hour. Here's the truth that will liberate your spirit. Heaven doesn't measure you by speed or popularity, but by endurance. And beloved, you've already proven yours. Every gray hair is a trophy. Every scar is a medal of honor. Every year you've survived is evidence that you're not just living, you're legendary. Drop endurance in the comments if you know you've kept walking when life begged you to stop. But wait, if heaven sees you as legendary right now, why does the world still treat you like you're invisible? The answer to that question will change everything you thought you knew about your purpose in this final season. Dear one, let me ask you something that cuts deep into your soul. Why has your life felt like you've been carrying a 100-pound backpack while everyone else walks with empty hands? Why have you buried more friends than you can count, while others seem untouched by grief? Why does every victory in your life come with a price tag that others never had to pay? Here's the truth that will shake you to your core. Legends don't carry light loads. You've wondered, haven't you? Sitting alone in that empty house after the funeral, standing at the kitchen sink, staring at one place setting instead of two, walking through that bedroom where half the closet is now empty. You've whispered into the silence, God, why is my life so much harder than theirs? Because you were chosen to carry the torch, not just hold a candle. Think about Moses, 80 years old when God handed him the burden of leading 2 million complainers through a desert. Think about Job, lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health, while his friends lived comfortable, uncomplicated lives. Think about David, anointed king as a teenager, then spent the next 15 years running for his life in caves. The wait was never punishment, beloved. It was preparation. You see, when God looks across the earth, searching for someone to carry generational healing, he doesn't choose the comfortable. When heaven needs someone to break cycles of poverty, addiction, or despair, they don't select the untested. They choose the ones who've walked through hell and came out with their faith intact. That's you. That's why you buried your husband of 53 years, but still wake up praying for your neighbor's healing. That's why you raised 6 children on a factory worker's salary, but still found quarters for the church offering. That's why you survived 3 heart attacks, 2 strokes, and diabetes, but still volunteer at the food bank every Tuesday. You think you're just surviving. Heaven sees you stewarding legacy. Like seeds pressed deep into dark soil, the deeper you've been buried, the stronger your roots have grown. Every tear you've cried in secret has watered something eternal. Every night you chose to pray instead of curse has planted hope in generations yet unborn. Job 14:7 declares, "At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again." You've been cut down more times than you can remember, but look at you still sprouting. still reaching for sunlight, still bearing fruit that feeds others. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are sitting there right now thinking, I'm too old, my time is past, I'm just waiting to die. Stop. Right there. That's not the voice of truth. That's the enemy trying to steal your legendary moment before it fully manifests. The night you chose to rise again instead of staying down, that's what crowned you a legend. Remember that night? Oh, you know the one. When your world collapsed, when the diagnosis came, when the call came at 2 a.m., when you found the empty bottles hidden in his closet, when she said she wasn't coming home for Christmas, when the bank notice arrived, when you stared at that bottle of pills thinking, maybe, but you didn't stay down. Something inside you, call it stubbornness, call it grace, call it the DNA of heaven itself. Something made you get up the next morning, made you brush your teeth, made you make coffee, made you choose hope over despair one more time. That moment, that single moment when you rose again, that's when angels stood at attention. That's when your name was written in the book of legends. If you know this is you, if you recognize your story in these words, say it out loud right now. I rose again. Let heaven hear it. Let the atmosphere around you shift with the power of your declaration. But here's what you need to understand about this legendary weight you carry, and why the world is about to finally see what heaven has always known. But here's what breaks my heart, chosen one. Here's what makes me want to reach through this screen and shake you awake from the lies you've been believing about yourself. You've spent decades thinking something was wrong with you, haven't you? Wondering why you never quite fit in, why your family gatherings felt like foreign territory, why your co-workers looked at you like you spoke a different language, why even your own children sometimes shake their heads and say, I just don't understand you, Mom or Dad, you're just different. Different. That word has followed you like a shadow, hasn't it? They called you too intense when you cried during movies that barely moved them, too sensitive when you felt others' pain like it was your own, too much when your passion for God made them uncomfortable at dinner tables, too old-fashioned when you still believed in things like honor, integrity, keeping your word. You know what you did? You started apologizing for who you were. You dimmed your light to make others comfortable. You shrunk your dreams to fit their small expectations. You learned to whisper when God created you to roar. But listen to me very carefully. That difference, that thing they rejected in you, that's exactly what heaven trusted in you. Think about David, just a shepherd boy, so overlooked that when the prophet Samuel came looking for Israel's next king, David's own father forgot to call him in from the fields. 1 Samuel 16:11 records it. Are these all the sons you have? Samuel had to ask. His own father didn't think he was worth mentioning. But God wasn't looking at David's size or age or status. God was looking at his heart. And what made David different? His worship in the wilderness, his courage against lions and bears when nobody was watching, his absolute trust in an invisible God. That difference made him legendary. Jesus himself knew this rejection. John 1:11 cuts deep. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. His own people, the very ones who should have recognized him first, rejected him hardest. You see, legends don't fit the culture around them because they're not from the culture around them. They're from another realm entirely. You're like a lion that was raised among sheep. For years, you tried to bleat when you were born to roar. You tried to graze when you were designed to hunt. You tried to flock when you were created to lead. And it never felt right, did it? Because it wasn't right. Every time someone told you to tone it down, to fit in, to be more like everyone else, something inside you rebelled. Not because you were stubborn, because you were authentic. That molten glass we talked about earlier, it doesn't become beautiful by conforming to the mold around it. It becomes beautiful by surrendering to the fire, by letting the master's breath shape it into something that catches light and throws it back stronger than before. Your difference isn't your defect, chosen one. Your difference is your distinction. It's your divine DNA showing through human flesh. The world rejected what heaven selected. They dismissed what God designed. They overlooked what the Almighty ordained. And now, right now, that very difference is about to be revealed as your divine proof. What if I told you that every time you felt like you didn't belong, it was because you belonged somewhere higher? What if every time they made you feel too much, it was because you carried more than they could understand? What if your sensitivity wasn't weakness, it was prophecy? What if your intensity wasn't a problem, it was purpose? The world looks at legends and calls them different. Heaven looks at legends and calls them destined. Comment different on purpose right now. Because your difference isn't an accident, it's your assignment. And the world is about to discover why heaven trusted you with what they couldn't handle. But here's what's about to shock you to your core. Dear chosen one, something seismic is shifting in the spiritual realm right now, and if you're still here listening to my voice, it's because your spirit recognizes what's happening. The season of hiding is over. The camouflage is coming off. What heaven has been building in secret is about to be unveiled in public. You've been like a seed buried deep in dark soil for decades, haven't you? While others seem to flourish in the spotlight, you remained hidden, forgotten, overlooked. Your family passed you by for promotions. Your church overlooked you for leadership. Society whispered that your best days were behind you. But what they didn't understand, what they couldn't see, was that you weren't buried. You were planted. And planted things don't stay underground forever. Right now, as I speak these words, there's a cracking happening. Can you feel it? That restlessness in your chest isn't anxiety, it's anticipation. Your spirit knows that the season of invisibility is ending. What was done in darkness is about to be shouted from the rooftops. Think about this. Why do you think David spent all those years hiding in caves before he touched the throne? Why did Joseph sit in prison for years before he ruled Egypt? Why did Moses wander in the wilderness for 40 years before he split the Red Sea? Because public revelation requires private preparation, and your preparation, chosen one, is complete. Here's what breaks my heart and what should shatter your complacency. While you've been hiding, ashamed of your scars, embarrassed by your struggles, apologizing for your age, heaven has been taking notes. Every tear you cried in secret, every prayer you whispered in the dark, every time you chose faith over fear when no one was watching, it's all been recorded in the books of eternity. But the recording session is over. It's showtime. Isaiah 60:1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Not your light is coming, your light has come. Present tense. It's here, now, today. You want to know how you'll recognize this shift? You will no longer have to introduce yourself. The atmosphere will announce you. When you walk into rooms now, something will tilt. People will pause mid-conversation. Opportunities will gravitate toward you without explanation. Doors will open that you never knocked on. This isn't wishful thinking, beloved. This is prophetic declaration. Because when God decides to reveal what He's been hiding, the earth has no choice but to rearrange itself around His purposes. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul. This unveiling has a window. Divine opportunities don't wait for your convenience. They don't pause for your insecurities. When heaven says now, it means now. When the spotlight finds you, you can't ask for more time to get ready. Esther understood this. When Mordecai told her about the threat to her people, she could have said, "I'm not ready. I need more time." But he spoke words that echo through eternity. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? This is your such a time as this moment. The torch you've been carrying in darkness isn't just for you anymore. It's about to light a generation. The wisdom you've gained through decades of fire isn't meant to die with you. It's meant to birth miracles in others. If you believe your hidden season is over, if something in your spirit is confirming that your time of invisibility has ended, type today's date in the comments right now. Mark it as the day heaven shouted your name. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. Let this be your spiritual timestamp, the moment you stopped hiding and started shining. But knowing your revealing is here is just the beginning, because what's coming next will require every ounce of legendary strength heaven has been building in you. But here's where the wait gets real, chosen one. Here's where heaven stops whispering and starts commanding. You think discovering you're a legend was the finish line? No, that was just the starting gun. Listen to me carefully. With great legend comes great responsibility, and I'm not talking about feel-good platitudes here. I'm talking about the terrifying, exhilarating truth that your next choices will echo louder than your past battles. You see, legends don't get to waste their influence on petty arguments anymore. They don't get to squander their energy on small-minded people who want to drag them into meaningless drama. Why? Because you're not just carrying your own reputation now, you're carrying the torch for an entire generation. Think about the Olympic torch relay. One runner stumbles, and the flame goes out for everyone behind them. One runner decides the torch is too heavy, and thousands of miles of preparation become meaningless. That's you right now, beloved. You are the torchbearer, and there are people running behind you in the darkness, depending on your light to guide them home. But here's what breaks my heart about too many seniors in America today. They've accepted the lie that retirement means retreating from purpose. They've bought into the deception that Medicare age means meaningless age. They've let society convince them that their words don't matter anymore, that their wisdom is outdated, that their time of influence has passed. That is a damnable lie from the pit of hell. 1 Timothy 4:12 doesn't just say, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. The reverse is equally true. Don't let anyone look down on you because you have lived long enough to earn your wisdom through fire. Your grey hair isn't a sign of decline. Proverbs 16:31 declares it plainly, grey hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness. You are not entering your sunset years. You are entering your spiritual general's commission. But generals don't fight every skirmish. They choose their battles strategically. They understand that their energy is currency, and they cannot afford to spend it on cheap entertainment or meaningless feuds. So let me ask you something that might sting. How much of your legendary energy are you wasting on Facebook arguments? How much of your torchbearer authority are you squandering on gossip, complaints, and people who drain your light without adding any fuel to your fire? Picture a master archer drawing back their bow. The further they pull that string, the more potential energy builds. But if they release it carelessly, on a target that doesn't matter, all that power is wasted. Your life has been pulling back that bowstring for 70, 80, 90 years. The tension is at its maximum. The power is unprecedented. But what are you aiming at? Because chosen one, your words now carry generational authority. When you speak blessing, families shift. When you declare breakthrough, strongholds crumble. When you intercede, heaven moves. But when you waste those same words on criticism, complaint, and condemnation, you're shooting arrows into empty air. The enemy knows your time is running short. He knows you're about to step into unprecedented influence. So, what's his strategy? Distraction, drama, division. He wants to trick you into spending your legendary years fighting battles that don't advance the kingdom. Guard your energy like it's the last gallon of gas in a 1,000-mile journey. Protect your legacy like it's the inheritance your great-grandchildren will live on, because it is. Your next choices will echo louder than your past battles. The world is watching, heaven is recording, and generations you'll never meet are depending on how you steward this legendary season. Say it with me right now. I am a steward of my legend. Don't just think it, declare it in the comments. Let heaven know you understand the weight you carry. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how legends transform not just their own destiny, but the destiny of everyone around them. My dear chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to carry these truths with you like precious jewels in your heart. Remember this: you are not fragile, forgotten, or finished. When heaven looks at you, they see a legend in motion, someone whose endurance has rewritten the very atmosphere around them. Every scar you carry is not shame, but signature. Every tear you've shed was not waste, but worship. Every battle you've survived was not random suffering, but legendary preparation. Remember this: the weight you've carried was never punishment. It was preparation for this moment when the world finally sees what heaven has always known about you. Your grey hair is not decline, but your crown. Your wrinkles are not damage, but the roadmap of your victories. Your age is not limitation, but your greatest asset in God's kingdom. And remember this above all: with great legend comes great responsibility. You are the torchbearer now. You are the spiritual general. Your words carry generational authority, and your next choices will echo louder than your past battles. But beloved, hear me clearly, you are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when doubt whispers lies in the darkness, the God who called you legend before you took your first breath is still working in your life right now. He's moving mountains you can't see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and orchestrating a finale so magnificent it will leave the world speechless. And beyond God's faithful presence, you have something beautiful right here: a community of fellow legends, wounded healers, chosen ones who understand the sacred loneliness of carrying heaven's fire. We are here. We see you. We believe in you. We will pray with you until our last breath. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. Now that you know heaven calls you a legend, now that you understand the weight and the wonder of your calling, how will you live differently tomorrow morning when you open your eyes? Before I release you into your legendary destiny, join me in this covenant prayer. Wherever you are right now, in your living room, your kitchen, lying in your bed, I want you to feel my hand on your shoulder as I speak these words over your life. Almighty God, Creator of heaven and earth, the Ancient of Days, I come before you carrying every precious soul who has stayed with me through this entire message. Father, they've walked through fire and emerged as gold. They've endured what would have broken lesser spirits, and yet here they stand legend in your sight. Lord, I pray that you would silence every voice of doubt that has whispered you're too old or your time has passed. I pray that you would break every chain of limitation the world has tried to place on them. Open their eyes to see what you see, not someone winding down, but someone being wound up for their greatest chapter. God, place your mighty hand upon their shoulders right now. Let them feel your presence like warm oil flowing over their weary bones. Where they are tired, breathe fresh strength. Where they are discouraged, plant new hope. Where they are alone, surround them with your love and connect them with others who share their calling. Father, bless their families, their finances, their health, their dreams that seem impossible. Open doors that no man can shut. Make crooked paths straight. Turn their mourning into dancing and their ashes into beauty. Most of all, Lord, let them wake up tomorrow knowing beyond any shadow of doubt that they are legends in your sight. Let their steps carry new authority. Let their words carry new power. Let their very presence shift atmospheres, because they finally understand who they are. In the mighty name of Jesus, who wore a crown of thorns so they could wear a crown of glory, I seal this prayer and release them into their legendary destiny. Amen. Now, my fellow legend, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share how God spoke to your heart today. What shifted in your spirit? What lie did you finally let go of? What truth are you ready to embrace? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what another legend needs to hear. And if this message touched the deepest places of your soul, please share it with someone who needs to be reminded they're not forgotten, they're not finished, and heaven is calling them legend too. There's someone in your life right now who needs to hear these words. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate your spirit, for choosing to believe that your best days aren't behind you, they're ahead of you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. You're not just subscribing to content, you're joining a movement of legends who refuse to fade quietly into the background. Until we meet again, walk in the unshakable knowledge of who you are. chosen, beloved, legendary, and absolutely unstoppable in the hands of the Almighty. Go in peace, go in power, go as the legend heaven has always known you to be. God bless you, my friend. Your legendary moment is here.